Ever get the feeling like the universe handed you two totally different instruction manuals?
Mm-hmm.
One that's all about this constant whirlwind of ideas and possibilities in your head,
Yeah.
and then another that's just like this immediate urge to like jump into action.
That feeling of having all those gears turning at once, that's a really interesting place to be.
Right.
And it's exactly what we're going to explore in this deep dive, through astrology, of course.
Welcome to ASTRALX, Illuminating Your Cosmic Path. I'm Solarian Zephyr, your cosmic strategist.
And I'm Linearia Celine.
And with me, as always, is Linearia Celine, your intuitive guide.
Always a pleasure to be here.
And in this deep dive, we're going to chart a course through all those amazing celestial energies of 2025. Specifically, we're going to focus on this dynamic combination of a Gemini Sun with an Aries Rising.
A powerful combo.
And we're going to try to illuminate what this means for you. We've gathered up a whole bunch of insights, really blending ancient wisdom with modern interpretations
That's right.
to help you navigate the year ahead.
You can think of this exploration as like a way to understand the rhythms and the currents that are influencing your journey.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Rhythms and currents.
Yeah. And by understanding these like cosmic signatures,
Yeah.
you can gain a much deeper awareness of your own strengths and how to navigate all the twists and turns that might be coming up in the year ahead.
That's amazing. Okay, Lunaria, let's just jump right in. Let's start with the core of this cosmic blueprint. We're talking about the Gemini Sun.
Okay.
So what does it actually mean to have your essential self expressed through the sign of the twins?
The Gemini Sun, at its core, really signifies a captivating and a very multifaceted nature.
Multifaceted, I like that.
Yeah, you know, people with this placement, they often have just this really sharp intellect and an unyielding curiosity
Oh, wow.
that just propels them to explore so many different subjects. Some astrological traditions even go as far as to say that Gemini women have this exceptional mental acuity.
Really?
Yeah, it's like their minds are just always seeking and processing information.
So it makes sense that Gemini is ruled by Mercury, right?
Absolutely.
Messenger planet.
Yeah.
It's all about communication.
Communication is key for the Gemini Sun. And, you know, you probably have this innate ability to just connect with others through conversation. You're really good at bridging different perspectives, understanding different viewpoints, and you might find yourself effortlessly engaging in all kinds of discussions with all kinds of people.
It's not just talking, though, right?
Yeah.
It's about this real exchange of ideas, like mental stimulation.
100%. And this intellectual dynamism often translates into just this remarkable adaptability. You know, the Gemini spirit tends to be restless, always seeking new environments, new challenges. So you thrive on variety, and you probably really embrace new adventures with just tons of enthusiasm. Life is rarely stagnant with this placement.
Wow. But I've also read that sometimes, with this huge emphasis on the mental realm, sometimes processing those deep emotions can be a little bit of a challenge. Like, is there a tendency to maybe analyze feelings rather than just like fully immersing in them?
That's a good point.
Right.
Because of the influence of Mercury, which again is the planet of the mind, there can be a natural inclination to approach emotions through that intellectual lens, right?
Right.
But it's not necessarily avoiding feelings. It's
Yeah.
more about a preference to understand them logically, which sometimes creates maybe a little bit of a distance from the actual raw emotional experience.
Fascinating. So we talked about the essence of the Gemini Sun. Now let's shift our focus to the other part of this equation, the Aries Rising.
Okay.
How does this ascendant sign influence how you present yourself to the world, that initial energy that you project?
Yeah, the Aries rising brings a very different energy to the table, right?
Yeah.
So where the Gemini Sun operates mainly in the realm of intellect and communication, Aries rising is more about a confident, an energetic, and a pioneering kind of presence. So your first impression is often one of self-assuredness, and also just like a natural inclination to take initiative. There's a real sense of dynamism there.
So you walk into a room and you just have this can-do attitude and you have this inherent confidence. Some sites even mention a certain physical presence associated with Aries rising, like strong features or an athletic build.
You know, that initial burst of energy, that vitality that's so characteristic of Aries, it's a fire sign ruled by Mars, the planet of action and assertion. And often that does translate into a very direct and forthright physical presence.
And it's not just for show, is it? This energy, it actually fuels this enthusiasm for starting new things.
Absolutely.
This sense of urgency to get projects off the ground.
Yeah.
And independence also seems to be a really key theme here.
Independence is huge. because Aries is a cardinal sign, which basically signifies initiation and leadership. So this desire for autonomy means you much prefer to forge your own path and make your own decisions, which is a huge strength.
Yeah.
But, that unwavering self-reliance can sometimes be perceived by others as maybe a little bit of inflexibility.
Right. So it sounds like the directness of Aries rising kind of cuts through any potential Gemini hesitation.
It does.
Right. So you're someone who says what you mean, and you come across as competent and courageous. That just do it mentality seems very Aries.
Very much so. Yeah, the Aries rising acts as a catalyst for the Gemini Sun's mental agility, transforming those ideas into tangible action. So it provides that spark of courage and the drive to overcome inertia.
I love that. Okay, so now let's talk about relationships. How does this very assertive Aries rising energy manifest in the realm of romance?
Right.
I imagine it's quite different from the more cerebral approach of Gemini.
It's definitely more, when it comes to romance, Aries rising tends to have a more flirtatious and bold approach.
Okay.
There's a tendency to be very direct and unafraid to make the first move. But, sometimes the intensity of that initial energy can feel a little overwhelming to people who prefer a more gradual unfolding of connection.
Makes sense.
Okay.
So we've got this fascinating interplay happening, this quick-witted, communicative Gemini Sun at the core,
Right.
and this confident, action-oriented Aries rising, shaping how we engage with the world. So how do these two very distinct energies actually dance together?
Well, it creates this really dynamic synergy.
Yeah.
So you have the mental agility to come up with tons of ideas. That's your Gemini Sun.
Yep.
And then you pair that with the proactive drive of your Aries rising to make things happen.
So you bring it all together?
You bring it all together. It's a powerful blend of thought and action.
It's like having a think tank and a powerhouse all in one.
Yeah.
And then you've got the duality of Gemini.
Right.
This ability to see multiple sides of the same situation.
Mm.
How might the directness of Aries rising influence that?
That's interesting because the Gemini duality might express itself as a balancing act between exploring all these intellectual avenues
Right.
and then passionately pursuing a chosen direction fueled by your Aries rising.
Yeah.
You might find yourself drawn to engaging in those wide-ranging discussions that we talked about, but also fiercely advocating for very specific viewpoints. It creates this dynamic tension that keeps things interesting.
Keeps things interesting is an understatement.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that Geminis can sometimes have a lot of irons in the fire,
Lots of irons in the fire.
perhaps not always seeing every single project to completion.
It happens.
How does the Aries enthusiasm for new beginnings play into that? Could it lead to even more projects getting started?
There is definitely that potential for the Aries impulse to initiate new things, maybe even before the Gemini intellect has fully thought out the long-term strategy, which could lead to, maybe a collection of exciting beginnings. But that initial Aries drive can also be the force that's needed to take a Gemini idea out of just the thought realm and make it real.
Bring it to life.
Bring it to life, exactly.
Okay. And socially, with Gemini's natural, sociability, amplified by the Aries magnetic presence, what kind of dynamic can we expect in social situations?
Well, the sources say that it's a highly charismatic individual, someone who draws people in effortlessly. The Gemini Sun's love for connection gets amplified by the confident and assertive aura of the Aries rising. So you're often positioned as a natural leader within social group.
A natural leader. So we've got that intellectual curiosity of Gemini, always wanting to learn new things, combined with Aries' desire for firsthand experience. That sounds like a recipe for just constant growth.
It is, because your Gemini mind craves information, but your Aries rising pushes you to go out and actually apply that knowledge in the real world. So you're someone who learns by doing right. You're constantly integrating new information through engagement with the world.
I love that. And how might this combination play out in your relationships and career?
Good question. In relationships, you have that Gemini love of open communication, stimulating conversation, blended with the passionate, direct approach of Aries. So that suggests, your connections tend to be intellectually vibrant, but also emotionally engaging.
The best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds. And professionally, you have those diverse interests and those great communication skills, paired with leadership potential, so you could really excel in roles that require strategic thinking, but also decisive action.
Makes sense. Now let's turn our gaze to 2025 specifically. What are some key celestial movements that Geminis with an Aries rising should be aware of?
Okay, well, 2025 holds some significant transits, and one of the most impactful is going to be Saturn, which is the planet of structure and responsibility, entering Aries around March 29th.
Saturn in Aries, what does that mean for our listeners?
Well, it calls for a more mature and disciplined approach to your identity and how you assert yourself in the world. It's a time to establish some clearer boundaries, cultivate that self-reliance, and really take ownership of your ambitions, particularly in your career and your public life. It might feel like a period of focused effort and building a really solid foundation.
So it sounds like it could be a really good grounding influence.
It is.
What other key transits are we looking at?
So around May 14th, we have Jupiter,
Ooh, Jupiter.
the planet of expansion and opportunity. It's going to move into Gemini, and this is great because it directly aligns with your sun sign.
That sounds like good news. What can we expect from that?
Well, Jupiter brings optimism.
Okay.
It brings good fortune. It brings opportunities for new beginnings.
Fantastic.
Expect your natural charm and communication skills to be amplified.
Even more.
Even more. Yes, and your intellectual curiosity is going to be heightened. You might find opportunities for travel, for learning. It's a time when your confidence gets a boost and your reputation expands.
That sounds like a time for a lot of potential.
It is.
And we also have Uranus, the planet of innovation and unexpected change, entering Gemini on July 7th.
Yes.
Uranus could bring some surprises, right?
Uranus always brings surprises. You know, it introduces this element of unpredictability, this strong desire for freedom.
Oh, wow.
It can really spark innovative thinking and lead to sudden shifts in your perspective,
Okay.
in your social circle, maybe even your life direction. It's a time to be open to new possibilities and to embrace change.
Change can be both exciting and maybe a little unsettling. What about Neptune?
Yeah.
We know that it's going to be in Aries throughout 2025. How does that work with the Gemini Sun, Aries Rising combo?
So Neptune in Aries can infuse your drive with intuition and spiritual connection and creative inspiration.
Wow.
It encourages you to pursue your goals with a more visionary, imaginative approach, tapping into your inner wisdom to guide you.
So we're kind of blending this assertive action with intuition. It's a powerful combination. We also have a few eclipses in 2025.
We do. Eclipses are potent times of transformation. So the lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 14th might bring some emotional clarity around your well-being and your daily routines. And then the solar eclipse in Aries on March 29th marks a powerful new beginning when it comes to your sense of self and your personal aspirations. And that aligns very closely with Saturn's entry into Aries.
Wow.
And then later on in the year, we have a lunar eclipse in Pisces and a solar eclipse in Libra, which might bring some shifts in your spiritual life and relationships.
So it sounds like 2025 is a year of significant growth and evolution for our listeners.
It really is.
To wrap up, how would different astrological traditions view this Gemini Sun, Aries Rising combination?
Okay, well, Vedic astrology also looks at the moon sign for a more emotional understanding, right?
Right.
But they would recognize that Gemini is all about communication, ruled by Mercury, and Aries is connected to courage and leadership, ruled by Mars. So they might see this combination as very dynamic, but also potentially restless. And Western astrology, as we talked about, puts emphasis on the energetic and assertive outward presentation of Aries rising, with the Gemini sun adding the intellectual curiosity and the sociability. European astrologers might focus on the importance of balancing that mental agility with decisive action and reconciling the desire for freedom with responsibility. But across all these traditions, the themes of intellectual vibrancy and a pioneering spirit really consistently emerge.
So as we all navigate 2025, consider how this unique blend might be showing up in your own life. Are you feeling that simultaneous pull towards intellectual exploration and decisive action? Are you noticing how your social needs and your desire for independence kind of interplay with each other?
I think a lot of people will be noticing that.
The cosmic energies of 2025, they really do provide a rich tapestry for your personal evolution. All the transits that we've discussed, Saturn's structure, Jupiter's expansion, Uranus's innovation, and Neptune's intuition, they all contribute to a year that's ripe with potential for growth and discovery.
Absolutely.
Now think about which of these energies resonates most strongly with you right now. Could understanding this cosmic interplay offer you a new perspective on your goals and the path ahead? What bold action might your Aries rising be urging you to take, fueled by the insightful curiosity of your Gemini sun?
If you'd like to explore these cosmic energies in more detail and receive personalized guidance for your unique astrological blueprint in 2025, you can subscribe to ASTRALX. As a subscriber, you get exclusive recorded audio readings delivered straight to your email inbox, offering tailored insights into your cosmic path.
Amazing.
Links to explore subscription options and purchase individual readings are in the description below. Embark on this journey of self-discovery with ASTRALX and illuminate your cosmic path.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.